The coordinate plane. So we're going to be talking today about how you graph things using the XY axis, and that's kind of a new concept. So let's talk. The first thing is that this whole thing is called the coordinate plane. This whole thing that's right here. And it consists of a x-axis, that's the thing that goes horizontal. It's pointed to right there. And then a y-axis, which is there, which goes vertical. Where they cross is something called the origin. So right here, that is the origin. And you can locate anything on here by listing where it goes from the origin to the right or left. That's the x part because it's horizontal. I guess, as I said, that's the x. And then how it goes vertically, because that's the up-down portion, and that's the second one. And an ordered pair is just an x-coordinate and then a y-coordinate. So right here, the example point P, you always start, as I was saying, you always start at this point right here, the origin. When you start at there, 0, 0, all you have to do is you have to count over. So it's if you look closely, it's 1, 2, 3, 3 over, and then 2 down. So it's 3 over, but it's 3 to the left. And when we go left on a number line, past 0, it's -3. And it's down, so it's -2. And so that's how it works. So that's -3, -2. If you look at the example down here, we got here, give the coordinates of each point. All we're going to do is we're going to start at the origin. We're going to count how many places we go over. In this case here, it's 2, and then 4. 4 down. So 2 over, 4 down. So 2 to the right, so it's a +2, and then 4 down, so it's -4. Same thing for point B, except for we're going to the, in this case here, we always start again at that origin point. Then we're going 2 to the left, which is -2, and then we go 2 up, so that's just 2. So that's point B. So let's look at this stuff here. It says here, use the coordinate plane in example 1. Give the coordinates of each of the point. So for point C, what we're going to do is we're going to count over again. 1, 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4 over. So that's going to be our x coordinate. Then how many up? It's 1, 2, up. So that's going to be our coordinate for point C. Now it's the same exact thing. So for point D, it's just going to be, do you go left or right at all? No. So it's actually 0 from here, from the origin again. You don't go left or right, so it's 0. And then you just go down 2. So it's -2. Now the final one is E. So that one's going to be point D. The final one is point E. And we start at this origin. We start at the origin. We go, see how many ones we go over to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. So that's -4 because we're going 4 to the left. And then we're going down 1 space. It's -4, -1. So that's how you go ahead and use the coordinate plane to plot points. Also says here that plotting points in the coordinate plane, that's so if you're told to plot points instead, it's just kind of what we did there when we identified where the actual points were. It's the same idea. All you're going to do is you're going to count for point A, you're going to count 4 to the right. Remember, positive for the x is to the right, and then you're going up 1. So that's why it's here. So 4 to the right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 1. So that's point A, and then you label that point A. For point B, you're going to go 0 to the left or right, and then you're just going to go down 1, 2, 3. When you go down 3, that's why it's 0, -3. And for this last one here, for this next point here, it's -2, -5. So it's 1, 2 over, so that's -2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So it's -2, -5. And that's just basically the premise, this idea of how this works. So that's for point C. You always begin at the origin. That's key here. So in terms of plotting the points in the coordinate plane, for this one here, for point P, we're going to start at the origin, then we're going to go to the left 1, and so it's -1, and then we're going to go up 1. So if I were to use this graph again, I would go to the left 1, then go up 1. So we'll be right about there. That would be point P, and I'd label it point P. So if you look here also, now we're moving on to point Q. So point Q is 4 to the right and then 5 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 to the left and then 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it should be somewhere around, right around this point right there. So that's going to be point Q. Point R is actually the easiest one to lot because point R is just the origin. It's right there. And then point S. Point S, you're going to go 2 to the right, 1, 2 to the right, and then you're not going to go down at all. So this is going to be point S because it says -2, 0. In terms of making a scatter plot, that's a way of looking at data, and what they did was they came up with a graph here. Remember this first one here, the length is always going to be the x-axis, the horizontal axis. I can't fit the whole word in there, but you get the idea. And then the right one, or the second one is always going to be the y-axis. So really the key idea here is you need to come up with the data that makes sense. In this case here they chose 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 for the divisions and so on. And then for the length they chose 100, 200, 300, 400 for the length. And then all they're doing is they're plotting this as if it's x, then this as if it's y. And you can notice here, and this makes perfect logical sense, you're talking about rainbow trout here, that the bigger a rainbow trout is, the more it weighs. So that's it.